So you're 60 with $1 million. Can you retire? Hi, I'm Josh Palmer, Director of Financial Planning for the Noble Group. The best way to look at this scenario would be to put it into a financial plan. In this client situation, we have a husband and wife, both age 60, making about $250,000 a year. So in talking with this client, they've stated their goals of retiring at 67 on about $11,000 a month after tax today's dollars. What that means, after tax, we're considering taxes elsewhere in the plan. In today's dollars, it means that we're including about a 2 to 2.5% inflation every year in these expenses for the life of the plan. Why is that important? Is because we want to make sure that the same lifestyle at 90 is what they're accustomed to at 67. Now, we also have a healthcare goal. The reason that I like to separate that out is for a few reasons. Number one, I like to include it separately because most of our clients now are paying their health insurance above the line. What that means is you've already covered your healthcare expenses in terms of insurance before you get your net paycheck, which you go spend. Once you retire, that expense moves below the line, meaning that you get your paycheck from your investments, your Social Security, but then you have to pay for your health insurance outside of that. It's an expense that most people don't consider when they're thinking about their retirement expenses. The other reason I like to include it is because where we're using a 2 to 2.5% inflation on our traditional expenses, healthcare inflates a little bit higher. We're using about a 5% inflation rate on healthcare. So I want to break this out to make sure that we're covering, number one, something you're not used to covering, and number two, something that might inflate faster than we're used to. This client has about $1 million in assets. $700,000 of that is in their 401k. Another $300,000 of that is in outside non-retirement accounts. Now, once we've looked at your situation, we've looked at your goals, in this case, retiring at 67 on $11,000 a month. We've looked at your assets, in this case, $1 million of investable assets. We've looked at your savings. We looked at your portfolio allocation. We're going to run this through 1,000 different trials. The reason we run it through 1,000 trials is because the market is not flat. We're not going to earn a flat 7% for the next 30 or 40 years of your life. They're going to have good years, we're going to have bad years, and we want to make sure that we incorporate a lot of fluctuation in the market to make sure that we're going to be successful. Now, what does a successful trial mean? It means that at life expectancy, we have some bucket of money left over. The reason that's important is because we don't know when life expectancy is. We can make an educated guess, but we don't know when that'll happen. So we want to make sure that no matter when life expectancy is for you or your spouse, we want to make sure that if you exceed that we still have a bucket of money left over to continue your retirement expenses. Now you can see here, based on this client situation, they're sitting at 41%. What does that mean? Okay, it's 41%. You can see that over here, 400 of the 1,000 trials are successful. Is that a good number or not? When you look at our probability of success meter, you'll see 3 zones. We have a purple zone, which is below our confidence level. In this case, anything below 75% doesn't give us enough comfort that this plan will be successful. Our green zone is kind of our target. That's where we feel confident that this plan can succeed. In this case, it's between 75 and 90%. Somewhere in that green zone is what we're shooting for. The blue zone is above our confidence zone, anything above 90%. Now, I know the human nature tells us we want to be 100% sure we're going to make it. The problem is, if we're too high on our confidence zone, that means we've left a lot of money on the table. What that means is that at your life expectancy, you're going to have a big bucket of money that you didn't use during your life and that your beneficiaries are going to get to use while you're gone. Now, we see 41%. That's not a good number. What can we do? If at any point our probability is lower than we want, lower than we're comfortable with, there's 4 variables that we can adjust. The first variable we can adjust is the timing. In this case, we're retiring at 67. Maybe we have to retire a little bit later. The second variable is the spending variable, or the cost of the goal. In this client example, the cost is $11,000 per month. Maybe we need to spend less on that. The third variable is the savings. How much are we putting into their investment accounts? How much are they putting in their 401k or their non-qualified savings? And the last variable is the allocation. How much risk are they willing to take to help meet that goal? Now, what I usually do when it comes to an example like this of 41% is I look and we talk with the client to say, which of those variables can you adjust? Are you willing to work a little bit later? Do you want to get out a little bit earlier? That means we're going to have to spend less. If you want to work a little bit later, we can maybe spend a little bit more. So you can see there are 3 different columns on this page. What I wanted to show the client in this situation was what happens if we retire earlier at 67 or maybe at 70. And that's adjusting the timing variable. If we adjust the timing variable, we're going to have to adjust the cost variable. So you can see in this left-hand column, if the client wants to retire at 60, they've got about $6,300 a month that they can spend from their portfolio. Now remember, they started with $11,000 a month goal. That's almost cutting their goal in half to retire now. Is that something they're willing to do? This middle column you can see is if we wait till 67, right, we're adjusting our timing variable a little bit. Now we can spend more. We're actually up to about $8,600 a month net. Still below their goal of 11, but it's maybe a little bit more feasible for them to retire at 67 on that $8,600. This last column is what if we delay retirement till 70? If we delay retirement till 70, we can actually spend about $10,500 per month after taxes at age 70. Now that gets them a little bit closer to their goal of $11,000 a month. So the question with this client is the $11,000 a month the most important thing, or is getting out of the office at 67 the most important thing? Depending on the answer is which way we're going to take this plan. So you're 60 with $1 million. Can you retire? The short answer is yes. The long answer is yes, but you may have to make adjustments to these variables. You may have to decide, is my income need more important than my retirement timing? Or is the timing more important than the income need? The answer to those questions is going to depend on your specific situation, your goals, your assets, your savings, your risk allocation. Putting it into a comprehensive financial plan for you is the best way that we're going to get this question answered. If you have any questions, you can give us a call, or you can visit our website at thenoblegroup.com or send us an email to education@thenoblegroup.com.